Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Sachin Jaiswal, co-founder and CEO of Nikki.ai. Sachin is a graduate of IIT Kharagpur and had worked for companies such as Innovator and Oracle before starting his own venture in 2015. Hi Sachin, welcome to ELI.
Hi, Priya. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Sachin?
Doing good, and it's a pleasure to be part of this talk and happy to contribute anything with regards to the community, to the entrepreneurship community.
Sachin, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Sure. Um, so, hi everyone. I'm Sachin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Nikki. Um, I'll actually start with who I am, right? And I'll take probably another 3 to 4 minutes to
Yep,
introduce
yep.
myself. Um, so I am a typical middle class boy. I grew up in a small town, uh, uh, and my roots are in Azamgarh, and then I grew up for the most part in Howrah, um, and I was a careless boy roaming around my locality, as or Padha as we called it there in Howrah. And for the most part, I would not care too much about what was happening around the world, and was a pretty uh, quiet and happy-go-lucky kind of a person. It was until class seventh, which was when my trajectory changed. Um, and there was a moment where one of our so it was an art class, I remember, um, and the teacher had asked all of us to draw something. I drew something and took it to him, and then I told him, "Sir, ye chap raha hai," and then he catches my collar and drags me out of the class. I was shell shocked and embarrassed as to what happened, um, and I stood outside for the entirety of the class, and at the end of the class, he comes to me and hands me over a toffee and tells me speak in English. I was of course taken aback by that, but then um, I told myself that I'm going to learn English um, and eventually learn to learn. So from someone who had failed in 2 subjects in my class seven, first semester of my class seven, I actually went on to score 95% um, in my class 10, and then went on to clear IIT. Um, and I would attribute most of that to that particular moment where I recognized that that you can, with hard work, you can get good at anything you choose. Um, and So after that, I went to IIT Kharagpur. It was a serendipitous decision. I was not too sure if I'll study there, but then I just took that step, and it has changed my life forever. I had a great 4 years, made some of the best friends, I've met my colleagues right now, and I am who I am because of the experiences there at IIT Kharagpur. Um, I I after IIT Kharagpur, uh, I graduated in 2011, and then started my career with Oracle as a product manager. Within the first 6 months of Oracle, I realized that this is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. It was too simple, and too uncomplicated, too boring, and nothing that I was doing there was challenging. And I did not want to spend my career uh, doing, leading a relaxed life, at least not in the early stages of my career. And then from there, I went on to start another company called Innovator. Um, and I so we looked at. So I was looking at initially business development, got the first 50 lakhs in revenue for Innovator, and then moved on to operations. Worked there for in operations role for about a year, and then went back to business development and scaled sales to about $1 million in revenue. And after that, wanted to I wanted um, to kind of start something to give back to the communities that I grew up in, and hence wanted to do something in the consumer space in India. And that's how we started Nikki. So that's like a brief introduction about who I am, what I do, and where I am. And with Nikki, the mission statement is to really build something for the communities that we grew up in, and that is what we are trying to solve for. And here the mission statement is that we are building a platform that can unlock the internet economy for a large section of users who are marginalized today. And that is the problem statement that we're trying to solve with.
Okay. Sachin, while going through your LinkedIn page, and I've been following your company for some time, I would say you have onboarded very impactful people for your venture. For example, to name a few, Ratan Tata and Ronnie Screwvala, they are your investors. So tell us, how do you convince such people, such impactful people, to believe in your vision, and what is your vision with Nikki.ai?
Okay. Um, so, like I said, with Nikki, the core mission is that we are actually unlocking the internet economy for a large section of users who are marginalized. For example, um, say my mom, my sister-in-law, most of them, they can't use the internet services, right? Because of several issues that they're dealing with. Either it's the language issue or the UX issue. For example, my bhabhi, she doesn't know how to speak in English. And as a result, most of the internet economy is irrelevant for her. She is not very used to the UX either, right? As in, even if she wants to do something in Hindi or tries to use an app which is in Hindi, something as simple as typing on the keyboard is a huge challenge for her. And even beyond that, she doesn't trust most of the internet economy because, um, you know, internet economy so far with marketplaces has acted like a mela. There is no gatekeeper of assurance, right? Anyone can just start selling things there, and most of the time the quality is fake, right? For example, my wife recently bought a shampoo and it turned out fake, and that is precisely the reason that most of these users, they don't trust the internet economy. So what we are really trying to build with Nikki is a trust platform for these Bharat users that can use the internet economy to access any services that they want. And that, in a sense, is what we are building with Nikki. And and in terms of how do we really enroll people into this vision, I think first of all we realized that it was not our vision, and we just went ahead asking people to contribute to this vision in any way that they can, right? And the moment they accepted this as part of their vision, the moment that they realize that what becomes possible if the rest of the 90% of the of the Indian economy can actually be unlocked via internet, right? We realize that there are so many opportunities that opens up, and everyone finds their own reason to join into this venture, uh, but but prima facie, uh, most of them who are actually uh, part of our journey at some point or the other, they've been quite inspired by what is the possibility that can emerge out of Nikki. And either be it Mr. Tata or be it Mr. Tony Suwala, they are pretty much inspired by what this can create in people's lives in India, and that is the reason they are part of it.
Okay. Apart from investors, I believe you have created teams of a size more than 500 or so. So when you go for bringing in good people together who will take your vision forward, what are the things you see in those people that tells you that this is the right person to do the job?
Right. So first of all, I'd like to clarify that we are an asset light team, so and also a very light team. So in the sense that we don't have a lot of people, it's not very people heavy, and the total team strength right now would be close to about 65, and that's how uh, we have designed it. Um, and to answer your question, well, I mean, again, it's the same thing, right? We actually had to proactively pitch people to be part of this journey. Um, and if you think raising investment is tough, try hiring people. And especially given that people have so many opportunities today, right? And they have so many things that they can contribute towards. And and to that extent, a startup is mostly not the most sexy job. People uh, tend to avoid startups because they don't find the value of the stock options. Although for us, we see that this is the ticket, the big lottery ticket, which otherwise we won't have in a corporate ecosystem. But uh, uh, most em- most prospective employees don't see the value in the stock options. And to that extent, if you're just competing on salaries, it becomes very tough. Large giants, large internet giants, and therefore it is not it is not the most easy to hire people and to really get them to join you. And therefore, money is not something that actually gets people into this. It is just the mission, what they can create. Because everyone they needs a purpose. They need a purpose, and even the point of really working is that purpose. That people actually are looking for purpose, and whoever joins Nikki, they join to be part of that purpose and to be part of that mission, and that's what their focus is.
Okay. Here I would like to ask you a tough question as well. What happens in startups is this happen more often than it happens in a corporate scenario, that we have to let go people when things don't work out. So how has been that journey for you when things did not work out between you or and somebody you have recruited?
Um, so it happens in 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 several scenarios. It does happen when things don't work out. Um, I remember that we had to let go of someone in our first year itself. Uh, and well, I mean, when employees quit voluntarily, uh, that is different from when you have to ask someone to leave, right? It is drastically different. While optically it's the same, but from an employer's perspective, it is 10x more challenging to ask someone to leave.
Mhm.
And there was a scenario where one of the employees that we had hired was not a cultural fit,
Mhm.
right? And there were host of coordination issues that we had to face. Um, and again, he was someone who had come from a very different background, and his thought process and thinking, everything was in tune with that you know big company mindset. And given we were a startup, it was there was a huge gap that existed, and because of that, he was finding it difficult to coordinate people. He was finding it difficult to really work with most of the colleagues, and to that extent, we realized that that it was very um, taxing for both him and for the startup. And we went forward and told him that this is not working out, and we gave him full luxury. Of course, we told him that we'll definitely uh, give you 2 months to search for any job that you're looking for, and if you need more time, we'll help you going forward as well. And we took that step, and eventually he found a job in the first 20 days itself, and even then we honored the notice period that there was, and he was pretty happy with it because he moved on to a company where he found a better fit, and from his profile perspective, and even we then went on to look for a different person, and eventually that turned out to be a great fit. So yeah, at the end of the day, if we have employees, um, what we realize is that if we have employees' best interest in mind, it usually works out.
Okay. Yeah, that really sounds very ethical of you. To many a times what happens is founders do get do get impatient and do let go some people, and that can have bad consequences for both company and the employee as well. So. Uh, Having said that, I would like to ask you another questions relating to this. Uh, when you build a venture, you have the first set of employees, which you call as the core team. So when you recruit the core team, is there a one-on-one book that you should see that this skill sets are required in your core team, and how do you find such people? What is the exact balance I'm asking?
Well, I mean, so I think recruiting the core team is the toughest, right? Because um, they are the ones who are going to carry forward the baton, and it is not just about functional skills that we look for, but there is also alignment with respect to value systems.
Mhm.
Um, because invariably, to say one of our values that we have as a company is that we care, right? And if we hire someone who fundamentally is like stoic, right, and takes very stone cold decisions, that while it may work in another company, but in terms of who we are, there is a huge mismatch from an alignment perspective. So what we do is, apart from just ensuring fitment with respect to the functional skills, for example, if you're hiring someone in marketing, we would definitely assess him in marketing skills, in his ability to build brands, in his ability to do digital promotions and ads, etc., etc. But beyond that, we also look for value fitment, and especially in the initial stages when you are doing a cultural fitment analysis, it's super important that you pick them right, because 3 years, 5 years later, they are the ones who are leading a team of 500 people individually, and and from that perspective, only and only if you are able to make sure that they are taking decisions which are in alignment with the company values, can you be sure that they will be the right person to lead a big company, and it is through those value systems is how we filter for especially the core.
Okay. Sachin, tell us what are the challenges you have had to face while building that and growing this venture.
Um, so multiple. I mean, I so when we started, I started with a B2B background, and there was always this lens of looking at the business through this B2B background, and that was always a deterrent when it comes to building a consumer business, right? And uh, so to that extent, the first axis of how to go about building this business was that I will just build um, a product, and I expected that by doing partnerships with large companies, we will get users to adopt. That is very different in a consumer business. And naturally, it did not work, right? In consumer business, you actually have to look at a cohort of users and build out all the customize the product for them, build out features that they want, and then you align marketing and uh, user research and everything else in accordance to that particular user segment. And that is one thing that had that I did not know when we started. I did not know consumer marketing. I had no idea about how to do brand building, because this is something that we never had to do in a B2B business. Um, and and it took us some time to get there. Um, to really connect well with the users. And once we connected well with the user, we were able to, um, and again, this user research as a key driver of your business decisions. That did not exist because in B2B, when you're doing sales, your user research happens naturally. But in consumer, we had to proactively do user research to really understand the pain point that the user was dealing with. And those are some of the things that we had not identified as a challenge: how to do user research, how to go about brand building, how to acquire customers, um, and we had to learn through the process, right? And that was again the other thing that we also felt was that our business, prior business, was very profitable, so fundraising was not something that we had to do like proactively. That is again something that we had to learn here at Wiki. So there were a bunch of things that we had to learn from start. Um, but it's been a fascinating journey because there are so many different kinds of problems that we faced, and so many things that we learned at such an accelerated pace that we wouldn't have anywhere else.
Okay. Uh, speaking of learnings, can you share some of the interesting lessons that you have learned, which may shorten the learning curve of young people who are thinking of becoming an entrepreneur?
Right. Um, First and foremost is I I would say that be honest about your product market fit, right? Make sure that anytime you are actually uh, going about hyper scaling the business,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you have product market, um, which means that your users love you, your users are sharing organically, and you're seeing a demand coming in organically. You be sure that they are referring it, your users are actually referring it to their peers. You make sure that your M1 retention, vertical retention, keeps on increasing month on month, especially in the initial month.
Mm-hmm.
You make sure that your retention efforts are strong. Um, so making sure that you have product market fit is super important. Once you have product market fit, there is nothing that can stop you from becoming large business. But an entrepreneur's job, first and foremost, is to get to that product market fit. That is point number one. Point number two is um, understand the value of a culture, of a company culture. And that is irreplaceable. That is not something that that is actually very easily taught in business circles. There isn't a standard course that you can just attend in terms of how do you go about building a culture, but that is so critical to to, to the success of the business, right? The reason Google is Google or Amazon is Amazon, and a Google person will not fit in an Amazon culture, and vice versa, is because culture is very core to what the companies, who the companies are, and what kind of naturally the kind of decisions that they make, and the kind of areas in which they are successful in, right? And for a company, it is super critical to identify and proactively work towards building the culture that they are. That point number two is super critical um, uh, in, in building the business. And point number three, um, the job of entrepreneur is not to execute. Like that is the last thing that an entrepreneur is supposed to do. He is a leader that leads the team towards execution. And most of us, because we've actually come from that background of making things happen, right? Of working hard and making sure that we at any point in time, if there is a challenge, then we'll struggle and figure out an answer to the challenge. And we come from that background where we actually realize that the way that the resolution for any problem is just being in action. That we, and because of that, we actually forget the relevance of enrollment. Like we forget the relevance of leadership. Um, and I think the third most important thing uh, that a startup entrepreneur needs to learn, like individually needs to learn, and if he does not have that, that is something that he will definitely get coaching on, is build leadership. Everything else follows. And being a leader is all about communication. Being a leader is all about integrity. Being a leader is all about authenticity. And it's about enrolling people, right? And that, if people get that right, they can actually make a huge difference, and their pace of growth is going to be quadrupled and 10x of where it is.
I think the last point you shared, I also agree to that, and it's a beautiful point you shared. Uh, Having said that, I just have one last question for you. How would you suggest our audience to start their journey as entrepreneurs, especially in Indian context?
Um, Look around you. You will find a problem statement that is worth solving. Um, Especially in these times of Corona, there are so many new problems that it has emerged. Right, this acts um, like a reset. This is a reset button for the economy overall, and a lot of behaviors have changed. Fundamentally, it means that a lot of businesses have had to reinvent or get demolished. But it also means that this is the opportunity for creating new businesses, because there are new problems that are emerging in the societies, and people are looking for solutions for them, right? And your only job as an entrepreneur is to identify those solutions and identify those problems and create, with your solution, create a new possibility for the customer, right? Which means that what you need to say, if you're in a village and you see that it needs a new network to really deliver things from X to Y, then you go ahead and just build that. And if what you are building has value, then customers will pay for it, right? If you identify that, especially it, what is needed is to provide capital to kickstart the uh, the the household income. Then what you need to do is figure out ways to provide them credit and make sure that those options are safe, are options given to people, so which they can give back the money by quadrupling it, right? And that again is something that only you can do. You can identify as an opportunity. So figure out there are multiple such opportunities that actually um, exist in the society today. All of these problems that you see are glaring opportunities. All you need to do is just pick one of them, pick something that you connect with, that you can understand, that you can work towards, that lies in your core strength area, and just go ahead and deliver.
I must say this was a very interesting conversation, and it was a great pleasure to host you here at ELI. And I would say I see a serial entrepreneur. I'm sure after Nikki will build many more ventures. Thanks for your time, Sachin, and our best wishes for Nikki.
Thanks, Priya. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Uh, Viewers, you can follow and connect with Sachin on LinkedIn by typing Sachin Jaiswal. Also, you may visit their website by typing nikki.ai. That is it for today's episode. We'll be back with another exciting entrepreneur. Stay tuned to ELI.